Hello, hello, good evening, good night, whatever. It's really late here, but I was waiting for everybody to fall asleep around here so that it's quiet outside and a lot of disturbances in the field lately. I'm hearing my echo. So, um, yeah, I'm making another video in English about what I spoke about last time because I need to explain some things, and that was quite a long video because they put several things in there because I really don't feel like making a lot of YouTube videos anymore. And it just puts me off for some reason. So I just don't feel like it anymore. So I might change. I have better technology now, so I will possibly take this on Instagram and do other kinds of forums where I'll be speaking more about new method that I'm using. But for now, I'm gonna create this longer explanation because it's needed. First of all, I announced it in Serbian, but I'm gonna do it again. My book is finished. It's been it editing took a long time, so this is the final version. It's still in Serbian only. It's been translated, but I haven't had the time to check the translation and finish everything that I need to finish for English version because it really takes a lot of energy, a lot of time. So for now it's only in Serbian, and for now it's still not on my webpage because I I haven't invested my energy in that. I was doing some other things. Um, Yeah, I've been seeing chiropractor. I saw a chiropractor today. I've been seeing him for a while now because my jaw got dislocated. Uh, that's fixed now, so but it's still some adjustments need to be made, and I'm quite feeling a lot of pain because a lot of work has been done a lot around my skull here because the lower jaw got disconnected from the upper part, and well, somehow that was like pulling my nerves and uh create a lot of pain, and the sessions are actually really painful. The treatments that I'm undergoing are actually really painful. So I did one today, but I had to do this because I'm not gonna have time after because I'm doing some of the things. So excuse me if I'm kind of sounding strange or looking strange. This is the reason. That's under control now, and yeah, there's a lot of things that I have to say around that. So one thing is that book being finished. I sold some copies already. I still don't have a publisher. Basically, the only reason that I don't have a publisher, because not that they don't want to publish it, some publishers accepted to publish it, but I need to pay for everything. And it's quite expensive that they want to do everything all over again because they say this is not good, and the front pages are not good and are not visible. And do you see this? I mean, is it visible? So they want me to pay around €1,000, which is like pay that and then take 50% of your sales. And yeah, I didn't want to do that. So obviously, I still haven't found a right publisher or somebody who's going to be doing distribution. So it can be found in bookstores or in Amazon yet because they haven't done the um, on electronic version yet. That's planned, but I just can't get around to do everything. So basically, at the moment, I'm focusing my energy on this healing process, and there is another process that I'm going through that actually started in 2019. Uh, and there are videos about it on my channel. They're still open, they're still there, they haven't been taken down. Um, regarding strawman theory. So there is a video in Serbian and video in English. If you want to go there, go check it out. And yeah, I'm not going to be talking about that now because um, it's a different kind of topic and a different process, but it's kind of continuation and escalation and discovery and disclosure and about some things that I couldn't up until now find out. And regarding my private life and my birth and genealogy and stuff like that. So I can't speak about it yet because I still don't have full information. I have more than I had before, but I don't have enough. And yeah, I don't want to talk about it until I finish everything. Besides, it's going to be taking us in a completely different direction. So yeah, all I want to say is that I'm trained in this. I've somebody taught me about it. Somebody that talk about this process to me. Somebody taught me what to do. Somebody told me where all this is. So I'm not doing anything. And I had a lot of information. I'm not doing anything by heart. So as far as my awakening and stuff like that, I've been awake a while ago. So there are just some things that I couldn't access until now because I've been told many, many times by my guides that it's not the right time, and I'm still being told it's not the right time, but the time is right now because some things have opened up. It's just that the energies, there is some uh, energies that are pushing back, and I don't want to talk about it because of that, because I still need some mm, to connect some dots. Yeah. And I'm gonna do it. I have proven many times if anybody was watching my videos and following my journey because I'm sharing not about all of the stuff, but many, many things more or less openly. Some things are coded and not spoken about openly, but I've been sharing it. I'm not afraid to look in those places, and I'm not afraid of doing some things. So I'm not closing my eyes to that because I've shared many times that I am um, one of the things that I need to do is speak about the things that nobody else wants to speak about. This is kind of my part of my mission. So I cannot not do it, regardless of what anybody tells me. Or if, I mean, I have people told me many times that I'm crazy, and even my colleagues, but then it turned out that all the things that I was speaking about were right. So yeah, I know that I'm right this time again. So look look at where we're now since 2020 when people were saying that 5G doesn't exist and we're crazy and conspiracy theorists for speaking about it. And look at now, there it's the commercials about it are jumping from TVs and all over, and all of the phones have 5G network available connections. So that's just one little bit. And this is much harder stuff because I've been speaking about really some dark things, and people were you're negative and stuff. Yeah, but you cannot constantly push things under the rug. How are we gonna how are we gonna disclose anything? How are we gonna do anything about it ever? How are we gonna but I'm looking for the right word in English. How are we going to dissolve it if we just pretend it doesn't exist because it's so inconvenient for us because it's so yucky? Yeah, most of the things that are coming out to the surface are yucky, and I've been speaking about those things since 2018, and they're still there. They've been here for about centuries. Possibly in some reality, in some dimension, they will still be there, depending on where you want to go. But you're not going to go there where this doesn't exist if you refuse to look at it. And if you keep calling it conspiracy theory and crazy stuff and stuff like that, this is getting out of the matrix. And the matrix is the digital systems that they're using. Anyways, I said I'm not gonna go there. I'm not gonna go there at the moment. So basically, yeah. Although I've been speaking about it since 2018, I do understand it a little bit more because it's been running through my body and through my nervous system and through everybody's nervous system, and this is why I, was undergoing so much healing and my nervous system. And yeah, I learned it through my own life, my own body, my own self. So I have all the rights to talk about it. Uh, yeah. Regarding that, uh, speaking about my nerves and what was going on with my jaw, because it's one particular nerve that's been pulling, and this is the largest nerve in our body, and it spreads around in different smaller sections, branches, and yeah, this is where those systems, digital systems, connect to us in those on Earth, but other planes, uh, through our neural pathway. So basically, you're used as a biological computer to be sent information and create what, because it goes, you read the energy, especially people like me and some others who see things or see things in dreams. But that, again, that's another story. I need to have proper timing and space to speak about that. But I forgot the name that was used, the proper terminology for it. Yeah, basically, they're using your neural pathways are used. Now they were using it through all the vaccines that have been pushed into people, but they can use it through frequency, and this particular stuff is done through frequency and implantology that are, well, some are basically like nanobots, nanochips in your body, and some are um, some plasma matter that I still don't know what that is. And yeah, it takes a bit of time for your body to push it out. But for me, my body has been pushing it out for a while. And I've known about this for a while now. It's just that I thought that I've dealt with it. So, yes, I've dealt with it to the extent that it couldn't be triggered. And trust me, it there have been attempts, but I didn't. My body didn't push it out. So they're basically sending neurological inputs to you, through you, and yeah, I'm gonna speak about that in other way. I'm mentioning it because I'm gonna be speaking about a certain part that this is needed for what I'm gonna be speaking about now. So basically, what I'm gonna be speaking about now is uh, that I finished. I sort of, I didn't announce it, but I kind of spoke just a little about it. I finished finally the process for a between life spiritual regression certification. I'm still uh, doing some things, some tasks that I'm required to do. So most of my energy is being focused there. So this is why I couldn't do some other things, because it's a completely different process than the one that I've been, well, not completely different, but it's different process than the one that I've been using so far. And I'm going to be speaking about those differences now. And I want to speak a little bit on why I changed schools. So I completely don't remember what I said in my Serbian video, because other things, I've been focusing on other things after that. And at the time, I was really, really still processing that. And I've been clearing a lot of that, because especially when I was in a training, I was really processing the amount of grief and pain and some turmoil because of me not being able to complete the certification process within my institute where I actually started, and all of the things that were happening behind my back from some of the colleagues there and some of the colleagues here in Serbia, one colleague in particular that I know about. So that was really, really in my system, and I felt it like a really big injustice. So basically, yes, I'm certified to do regression in past lives, in spirit, and the spiritual regression that I'm doing is live between lives. But I sort of adapted that process for my own self and my energy, my knowledge, and the requirements of people around here because I mainly work with Serbian people. So I didn't finish that certification process, and I was supposed to finish it in 2017. Only because I didn't have enough money to do it. Uh, uh, that was the third module. The first and second module also costed me quite a lot of money. And I took loans, and I spoke about that already. One level was, yeah, it's quite a lot of money. So after that, I was supposed to have a certain amount of clients and a certain amount of time to pass so that I have meet the requirements that are needed for uh, the certification of Live Between Lives. And I had that in 2017. Actually, I went in my first module and I started my hypnotherapy process studies in 2015, in December 2015. And I already am coming from an academic background, and I have not a PhD, but it's not a master's, but it's a level in between that used to exist here, like magistratura, in guidance counseling. So I know a lot of psychology, and I have worked with people before. At that time, mainly with groups as a facilitator, and I've been teaching at the college, which is different, again, different kind of institution here. It's a university based. So I've been teaching psychological and pedagogical subjects, guidance counseling subjects too, because in West you don't have pedagogy. It's pedagogy basically. And I've been already, I have already theory, and I have worked with people, so I can have my guidance counseling practice without it. But when I was applying for the um, hypnotherapy, like I spoke before, I was not interested in hypnotherapy as it is. Uh, and I actually went straight to the Newton Institute. And I'm speaking about this because I'm constantly called on, and people constantly tell me, "Oh, you didn't finish in front of Michael Newton Institute." Oh, yes, I did. And I'm going to explain to why I'm saying this, because in 2015 they were changing their programs, their processes. I don't know how it looked before, but when I applied, there was only one trainer who was going to Europe and teaching. He's a mentor and teacher to all of us who've been coming from these around surrounding areas. And I applied in Michael Newton Institute straight for the LBL course. But because I didn't have a practice, I was coming from the academic background. It was them, whoever was talking to me at the time, and I don't even remember, who directed me to go to level one, which is transpersonal hypnotherapy, because I didn't have a practice. I was not a practitioner, and I didn't know the process of hypnotherapy. And I agreed on that. I said, fine. It's just that I wasn't told all of the things that I wasn't explained properly, all of the things that I need. Oh no, again, my battery. Just give me a second. So, excuse me, I did this the last time in Serbian video, and I thought, and I remembered that it might happen again. And yeah, I forgot when I was doing other stuff to prepare to plug my computer. So I'm sorry if this doesn't look well, but I really seriously have too many things on my mind lately. And yeah, these are the consequences for one, one thing. Anyways, I kind of agree. As I said, uh, I wasn't told everything. I wasn't explained properly how the process looks like. So I took a loan and I went on level one in Italy, in Pietrasanta, where Alison Lee Axon was in her school, but she wasn't a trainer. The trainer was Paul Rand, and I'm quite satisfied with that level and with that course. Besides, my mother died 2 weeks before me going there, and I was in a state of shock. Still, I was completely different. So I might have missed again myself some things and to ask some things. But the thing is that after attending level one, you can't have practice. You have to have a level two and a certificate from a level two, and then create your own practice, and then work for a while. And as I said, have certain amount of clients and certain amount of time spent working, and then you can apply for the level three. And I went. Actually, that was in July. In July, then I went to Istanbul for level two. And yeah, there were some strange occurrences there, and that went differently. But I'm quite satisfied with the trainer and the knowledge that I received, because I did receive knowledge. But yeah, many of the things, including, I didn't have, because I was given installments in the first module, but here, I mean, there was some, I don't know whether deliberate or not, misunderstanding and some other things, and I was not being given answers to all of my questions that I had. And I mean, I'm speaking it from a completely different perspective and completely different energy now than I was when I was creating video in Serbian, because I was so upset about it, and I only understood how upset about it and how much inner inner cramping I had because of it, and because of this, and how much that actually blocked me. So I just understood that when I actually started doing this process with another school. And yeah, I mean, I had some things that were happening to me during regressions that we didn't have training for, and I did manage myself, but whenever I would ask questions, I was being told that that rarely happens, that doesn't happen, this isn't the course. The university is teaching you, and I was like, well, if the university is teaching me, why I'm paying for this? So I didn't have the chance to discuss this with anybody, and there were a lot of backlash also from another colleague here who actually at that about that time received that certificate, and there were a lot of rumors behind my back, and um, things happened that I didn't like. And I actually even received a phone call from her when she wanted me to remove something from a certain online portal, because she didn't like what I said, because she was telling me, I mean, she did, I don't even like speaking about it right now, and remembering it, because I was being called a fraud, and that I'm deceiving people because I didn't finish in front of my community institute, which is not true. We all went through the same process, and I was still in the process of uh, needing to build my practice and have enough clients so that I can finish that third module. uh, and other things were there that I heard from other people, from my clients, that were being said and done behind my back, and even um, some meddling in my private life also that happened there, and that really created a lot of pain for me. That hurted me. I tried to speak about it with my mentor, and I wrote him a letter, but I didn't really have the time. I didn't have the opportunity. I wasn't given the opportunity to say what was really going on and why I reacted like I did. Because when I don't like something, when things um, so- are done like that, and when I sense that somebody is being unjust to me, I tend to be really direct. Either I pull back and don't say anything, which was what I was doing in Istanbul, or I become really direct. Not rough or aggressive, but direct. And most of the people, I mean, Serbians are generally direct, and I've had problems, especially with British people before when I was working in international settings, because I just tell them plainly without gloves that some things are not okay and I don't like them. So I didn't see the Newton Institute was supporting me. And even when I applied 3 times for LBL, I applied 3 times and I was accepted all 3 times. Once I applied for a scholarship that they were giving, but they gave it to somebody else who was, I don't know, helping more with the school in Italy. And now I hear they're not cooperating in the same way anymore. And some of the things that happened, so I mean, none of my business, but I really don't understand. I didn't understand all of this. I didn't like it because I was in the setting where I'm seeing a lot of therapists and I'm talking to therapists. And uh, with my background and my knowledge, I was expecting to be I mean, treated differently, to be given a little bit more credit about things that I know, and I seem that I know them better than most of other people who were coming there, because they were not coming from with psychological background, and they didn't know many things, and it was quite was visible. Okay, maybe me. I mean, most of them went to other courses and build up their knowledge afterwards. But I didn't need to do that because I already had education in it. It's just that I wasn't, I don't know, I wasn't showing it off. I wasn't paying my mentorship program because I couldn't afford it at the time because I already had 2 loans because of this 2 levels that I had to pay off. So if anybody was deceiving people, I was being deceived because I wasn't told everything that I needed to know in the first place. Maybe if I was told that it would take me so long and it would take me so much money, I wouldn't decide to do that in the first place. So I don't know. I have a chance to speak to somebody about this, maybe everything would be different. But I assume that um, they spoke with this other colleague of mine, and I still have friends, and I have I my classmates that I share this with. Some of them are in positions in holding positions in my community institute now, and I did discuss this with them. I didn't share, but what was actually being said to my mentor and to other people, especially from the colleague around here, I don't know, because I never had a chance. Nobody contacted me. Nobody asked me anything. They all know that I'm working, that I'm using this method, and the only people who don't like it is this colleague around here and in the area. And I know that I'm a really good therapist because I've been doing this for 10 years and I've seen results. And yeah, I become really unhappy when I can't express myself about the things, because I've worked in an international setting before. I came with a whole lot of facilitation knowledge and skills in working with people and in psychology skills, and with from teaching also. And I already came with a whole lot of contacts because I worked in Switzerland within in international institution, and none of this was recognized and none of this was used in the proper way. I don't think that they they used my abilities in a proper way. Actually, my abilities there were dismissed. And I saw that people who are much mm, less of a good therapist than I am, with much less knowledge in psychology, having a better score, so to say. So it made me feel really unsuccessful, and it really blocked me. And there were times when I was really inside, internally, I was giving up on this, because also you're on your own when you're here. Uh, the certificate means something to them. It doesn't mean anything around here. And it only means that you're visible because they have the locate your therapist, because they trademark this uh, name of the method that they're using. And nobody can use it actually. And all other schools that are doing, and there are other schools that are doing this work too, in spiritual regression, they have to use the name Between Lives Spiritual Regression. With some it's actually exactly the same process, with some it's not. And there are others since 70s who've been doing this work. And we around here, and I was also under the impression that Mike Newton is the only one. He's not the only one. uh, I mean, I'm openly speaking about those things. I might understand that they might not like it, but I can't keep quiet about it anymore, because it created a lot of internal turmoil for me. And because I wasn't given a place and a space to speak about it honestly with somebody. And I'm used to this, because, as I said, I've worked in international setting, and this is how we dealt with issues that come around. And they do come around because we're all from different cultures, and cultural differences can create stuff that you have to discuss. So, I mean, I have never felt as a failure as much as I felt within Michael Newton Institute, honestly. And I really felt unappreciated. So for 3 times when I couldn't find the money, now at that time it was 3,500 euros for the tuition, and then you have to go somewhere and pay for it. And yeah, that was around 500 euros. That was too much for me. For somebody from Serbia, that's loads of money. Now everybody behaves since 2021 like we're living in Switzerland, because of the rental places and everything that went skyrocketing, but the salaries, most of the salaries didn't. So it's still a lot of money for us. But now, since a year ago, because the Newton Institute changed the process again, so it lasts, the LBL lasts for a year, and I don't know the entire process. From what I'm seeing, everything that I went through with this school, it's the same thing. They just cut it in they spread it around in different modules for LBL particularly. So it's 5,800 euros. So they've created a process that's completely Europe. It's impossible for you, becomes impossible for you to obtain a certificate unless somebody wants to open the door for you. Like they opened the door for me when they gave me installments for in the first place, because when I heard the price for the first module, I said, I can't do this. I don't have the money for this. And then the woman said, okay, we can give you installments, and this is how I actually finished it. And the second part too, but it kind of turned out that I created installments for myself, because I mean I don't want to go there. That didn't go well. So then I said, okay, maybe it's not. If it since the money is not opening up for me, I kind of gave up on this. And I was directed by a colleague from Michael Newton Institute to this British school of Andy Tomlinson. Andy Tomlinson was the very in the group that was the very last group of Michael Newton students, and he created his own process that kind of leans on the Michael Newton process. But from what I've seen so far, and working with my case studies and clients, it's also different. Uh, so I tried in 2020, and I applied, and I was accepted. I paid my first my down payment, and reservation. But and because it's in UK, we still need visas for UK. So I had to go and I collected all of the documents, and it was a lengthy process for all of that they needed. And I was supposed to go for an interview in British Embassy on the 16th of April in 2020, and it was the exact day when the quarantine started. So that didn't work at that time. They refunded the money and everything. And then I went, and then I, again, 2 years or even 3 years ago now, because I was in the meantime, I was in contact with Auntie Thomas. We've never met, but the man helped me on several occasions. We were only in contact in emails, and even in 2022, 22 or 3, I don't know when, 22, when I had major challenges around here, energetical challenges, and I nearly died. The man helped me, no questions asked. So, what can I say? Even from speaking about, there's quite a difference in the way I was treated in those two schools. So you do the odds, yeah. So he offered also some major installments for me in 2022, I think, or before this in 22. This was in 2023 when he was helping me. So uh mm, yeah, it was cheaper, it was more affordable. It still was more affordable. Now it was more expensive than then, but it was more affordable than my institute. So I basically I accepted that, but then my clients stopped coming, and I didn't have any income. I literally couldn't like cover the very small monthly installment that I had to do. So I got really disappointed, and I thought, okay, maybe I'm not meant to do this. Maybe I'm not meant to finish this. And I kind of gave up on the idea. And I was still working all along. I was working. I'm having clients, and I only do spiritual regression. I mean, I do the process, like I've been explaining this process. It's the process that we're taught by Paul around. I've never met Michael Newton, so I don't know exactly what his initial process was, because uh, as ther- every therapist put something of their own in there. So we were all taught Paul Rand's process, and I'm using Paul Rand's process with my own stuff that I do there. But I started feeling at certain point very like cramped inside. I was not satisfied, and the energetically speaking, I didn't like the type of clients that they were coming to see me, because they started, they have a lot of traumas, and I do work with them, and I do manage to take them to the spirit world, and we managed to do everything that is going on there. But the energy was becoming heavier and heavier. The energy that the clients were coming with was becoming heavier and heavier, and they haven't even started their spiritual journeys or anything. And like in the beginning, it was mostly people who were already working people, but now more and more those who are like in kindergarten are coming, and that started pulling me down, and I started feeling like I'm not growing and I'm not going anywhere. And started feeling like really, watching my colleagues who are kind of making their moves, and I don't know, becoming um, like stars in this area. And while I'm all along, I see that they actually do less sessions than I do. Anyways, I don't know. It kind of made me feel uneasy, and some of them with whom I'm friends, I did speak to them about this. With some of them, I mean, I don't understand. You were friends with somebody, 1 minute, and the next year you're speaking only there with their assistant because their assistant is answering emails to you as if we never met. So I really don't understand all of this, and I basically did not like it. So I was like, if this is what's gonna happen to me while I'm in my community institute, I'm not sure if I want it. Besides, I don't have that much money, and honestly, because I'm already working, I've spent 10 years working. I mean, with people that I mean, when my clients first started going to the spirit world, I did write to my mentor and I asked him what to do because I still wasn't trained at that time in that, and he told me what to do, what to read, and from there I just learned it all on my own and the clients taught me. But that could be possible only because I've already had this education, like basic education, has taught me how to work with people. And I already had an ability to work with the spirit world that I didn't know I have in me. This is why I went to shamanism and other stuff to learn how to clear energetically people who were coming with other things that's still not taught in my community institute. So I needed that bit because constantly some of the things were happening that I wasn't being given answers to. So when you're constantly working with trauma and emotions and emotional body, which is why people need that. And I've been spent 10 years doing for them to be able during this process to go to the spirit world. But I started feeling now, I mean, I didn't I don't see any flaws in it, but now when I went through the process of Between Lives Regression Academy, I mean, past life, the school in UK is called Past Life Regression Academy, but they have the section for Between Lives, and this has been taught in the past by Auntie Tomlinson, but now it's telling me at Drucker, and I really like her approach, and I really like her. I really like Auntie's energy, and yeah, I trust them. I trust them, and I didn't see all this um ego trips and stuff that were going on between people. When you tell me, like, what I'm sharing with you as my colleague and as a friend, how I really feel about not being able to finish this process, and I don't even know if those friends of mine really understood how bad was I feeling about it, and how pull, pulled back, and how I actually felt restrained, and I don't even know if they actually understood anything about it because you know I mean, I mean it's not the right thing to say to somebody. Well, why do you have to do this? Why don't you go and do and be a medium? I don't want to be a medium. I want to do what I'm called to do. So I really didn't feel supported there. Although I still see them as friends, I still see Paul as a great therapist, and I've learned a great deal there. But obviously, uh, something's going on there, and obviously, I mean, everybody from them are watching me. I have most of those people who are in the institute on my Facebook page because they followed me, so obviously they know who I am. And but everybody's behaving there as if I've never been there, and I really minded that. That It's painful, it's hurtful. And all along, I'm working with people who are calling themselves therapists, and I don't understand that. I'm sorry, but I really don't understand that. So, yeah, basically, I would have closed my eyes to all of this if at any moment, a certain amount of money opened up for me so that I can finish this. But at the same time, I also know that for some people, these things opened up without that certain amount of money. So I mean, whoever they want to see there, which is fine. But I mean, I don't like this trademarking. I mean, it's one thing trademarking the name and of the method, that's fine. There, but creating like a secret society that nobody else can come in there, and they're spreading it around as if nobody else can actually have a school teach you in that, and like anybody else doesn't have anything, any input in this, and doesn't have anything to say. Well, there are fabulous people who are already doing this since 70s, since 90s. Like, there is another woman who is a colleague, who was a student. Michael Newton's one of the first students. She's been doing this work for 40 something years, 45 years, and she has a lot of experience. Linda Beckman, and nobody mentions her there. Nobody mentions Andy Tomlinson there, like they don't exist. And I did ask some people. Yes, I've been directed to Andy Tomlinson by a colleague who at the time didn't finish yet uh, with the Michael Newton Institute. And she was thinking of going there, but eventually, and she, I mean, I discussed with a lot of those things with her, and I mean, I did sessions with some of my colleagues around those things that they were dissatisfied with within my community. So I know other things that are going on there, and yeah, and then I see those people going back there, and you know, having positions there, which I mean, okay, they discussed it with somebody, things changed, fine. But like I said, I never had a, a, a place to discuss this with somebody. And I don't feel like my input, how I feel, and what I carry with me was being respected, and I felt unfinished. I really started feeling like I'm constantly trying and I'm constantly focused on that. And And as I'm focusing on that and trying to finish that, I constantly feel unfinished and I couldn't grow in other areas either. And now discovering all the things that I'm doing now and all of these other process, I'm starting to feel it as it was by design. So, but that's another story. Because when if you're never finished, you're not going to be focusing on actually what you actually need to do. Anyways, when I went to eventually money opened up for me, so I was able to pay for between lives the certificate, because they really, but I really didn't expect that it's going to be this different process. I'm constantly looking for a process that is going to be shortening the path to a spirit world, but this is actually quite longer process. So I'm actually I'm doing 2 sessions now. So between live and spiritual regression consists of 2 separate sessions. The first session is a preparation session, which lasts for 3 hours, where we do past life regression, but we're basically focusing on whatever you need to clear, uh, so that we can remove all of these energies and anything that will be blocking you from going to the spirit world. So I'm not doing like childhood or womb or any of those things unless it comes up throughout this process. And I have certain methods of how I'm checking that with clients, and I've learned some of the things that I mean, different uh, inductions and stuff that are different than from the Michael Newton process. And anyways, I've created my own induction process. I'm having like these 2 separate streams in my brain, and my brain was glitching constantly while I was listening. Because after 10 years, I decided to change schools and learn new approaches. And yeah, I'm constantly glitching now, especially since I do it mostly in Serbian. So when I have to translate that from English and Serbian, it's quite lengthy, but it's different, and they use body also, so it's a little bit different. So basically, yes, there is a therapy process, but that's a separate session. So during this preparation session, we basically don't do therapy, we just remove energies. We do speak with a client, so the client is speaking to you while in hypnosis, but not initially. So we paid here, it's paid attention to spirit release and stuff like that. And I needed that because I constantly deal with that and heavy energies. And, when you deal with trauma, you deal with a lot of heavy energy. So it's a completely different from what I see. And I didn't understand that in the beginning. uh, you end up in a completely different between life space when you're still carrying some of those things. And although I've been taking all my clients mainly to the spirit world, it's a completely different realm that I'm reaching now. With some who have never been into hypnosis before, who have never been into the spirit realm before, it's still the same area. But with others, at least to from what I've done so far, it wow, it opened up completely, like universe has opened up, like vastness of universe, and have so many different levels. And I obviously have the ability to shift dimensions and densities quickly, which showed in my own session. So this is why I've been able to take clients without actually have, being taught a process of life between lives in the first place, because I've been I do it in a different way, and it's in me, it's installed in me. And yeah, I even had a client, like when I was working for 2 years only, and mentioned this somewhere in my recordings. She called me and she told me she but there's no mistake, she found me by my name, and she wrote me in my email through my webpage. And she said she spoke to somebody who was my client, which is male, and who's doing astrology, and I've helped him. He came to my session, and that was 10 years ago. So, and I'm like, well, you made a mistake. I'm not working for 10 years. I've only been working for 2 years now. And no, 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 go, it's you. My photo and everything. And when she saw me, it's you. And what she was describing this man to me. And at that time, I had very few male clients, so I remembered each and every one of them. And he never came to my session. And I showed a photo of somebody I used to know before. Uh, and she said, yeah, that's the person. But this person doesn't do astrology, and he never been to my session, and he's not into this stuff, anyways, not to my knowledge. And especially at that time, he wasn't doing astrology or anything. So I don't know which dimension she was, but not in this one. But she also has an ability to shift dimensions, also, which came up through in a session also. So what can I say? I already have some knowledge, and I've been doing this in another dimension for by now. I'm already in another dimension doing it for 20 years. So yeah, well, anyways, this is the process. So this is the I mean, I know that in my clinic they also do two sessions, like one screening session, but it's the entire process before going to the upper plane, like childhood, womb, and past life. Uh, but I do that in one session only, and I'm seen others doing, and most of those people that I know who are working that they're doing it in one session. Especially when you travel, and people who come to see you are traveling from somewhere, and people in Serbia don't want to spend more time than this for sessions, so I had to adapt. Um, but this preparation session is only removing these energies, and then you're removing entities, attachment, spirit, black magic, or some other energy that appears that they're talking about, or something from current life that comes up. That can be whatever. And then something from past life, which can be, I don't know, a couple of scenes from one life, then second life, and depends. So basically, you remove these energies, and it seemingly those sessions, I mean, completely different things can come up in between live session. So then we have a pause, a day or two, so that the client is still in the same energy, that incapable of going in the spirit world, because if more time passes, they might not be. And this is also what I discovered, and this is why I decided to do it all in one day, because I saw this in my clients. They would not be able, if they came in a week or in 10 days, they would not be able to go into live between lives, or there will be other stuff that comes along the way, or somebody will tell them something and then they change their mind and don't come. So yeah, so this is like a package, and you're doing it in like one day in between, and then you do it, the between lives session, where you actually just go again into the past live, which is the last, very last live, just before this one, and you spend only a couple of minutes there, and then you go into the upper realms, and then you just follow where the client goes. And so far, my clients were going on another planet, and all over. They were all over universe. So I waited for. I only had 2 sessions with this method when I was preparing my Serbian video, but now I've had what I was waiting to have more. So this one was like I was all over the place in Milky Way like a flipper. So it's although I've been in sessions so far with my clients on ships and on other planets, but it's one particular area, and when we get with, and we do go there with clients now with this process, but they don't stick around there. They go elsewhere, and I was quite surprised when I discovered that, and I'm gonna share a bit of some sessions where that happened. So I'm not gonna explain the entire between lives process, because people will be listening to this and I don't think they can do it themselves. But this is quite exhausting. You really have to be energetically prepared for this, and have mental stability and energy, enough energy to do this and carry this. And I don't think, I've never thought before that anybody can do it, but this is, so it differs in the way, the way you in induction, and in the way you lead clients, the way you phrase questions were less directive. While I'm in live between live session, I'm very directive. Um, Here I'm less directive, and so it's quite different. And I have to understand myself where the client is from what they're telling me. So, and there is no meeting of elders. There is meeting of wise beings. By wise being is any being that they meet there, light being. So, yeah, it's quite different, and you spend a lot more time. It's 4 hours. So the second session is 4 hours, and all of these 4 hours you are in upper plane. So this is why I said it requires a lot from a therapist. You only do it once a week as a therapist, and giving the kind of energies of clients that were coming who are themselves have a lot of energy might take me a little bit more than just once a week. But for a client, there it's recommended that they do it only 3 times a year, not more, or even if so. So even so far, I haven't been doing it that often with clients. So they would come again after a couple of years, and then they would go in a different realm. But this is like if the clients in so far, when we are in front of the wise being elders, and they're speaking to them, and then this is where I ask them certain things about themselves and their soul, and where they're doing about their eternal self, and they would tell me, they would receive information in what they're doing. But this, in this between life session, it's doing that. It's being there and doing that, what actually they do there. Uh, so it's like an experience, not channeling. And there is a section that is called Eternal Now, where you actually go back and ask questions. So if it's only channeling as sitting on a cloud, or on a cloud and channeling, that would not be considered like a between lives session. So yeah, again, as I haven't actually finished this training for life between lives, I don't know, maybe something like this is I worked with colleagues. They done sessions on me. I've done sessions for with them. uh I've listened to them speak about it, so I don't see anything different from what I was doing so far. But this is different in the experience of a client. So should a client come who has never experienced hypnosis before, never worked with me, or not familiar with my work, my energy, or hypnosis, I'm supposed to be doing 3 sessions with them. Again, mm, the, with a day in between. So the first session would be a discovery session where we actually do therapy and everything I've already been doing so far. So that also is 3 hour session. Then this preparation session is a 3 hour session. Then the between live session is 4 hour session. And then I have to repeat all this when I'm sending my case studies, so you can imagine why I didn't have the energy of doing anything else. So yeah, I've been really excited about this process because I mean, most of my clients have are star seeds and people for souls from other. I mean, all souls are from other planes, but they're not earthly souls. Saying, and yeah, I've been so thrilled about it because I've been waiting for it so long, and like I'm already working with aliens, but this is like being there with aliens, spending time in different planets and stuff. So yeah, it kind of gave me a new zest, a new joy about doing all this because I really started having said all this previously. I started feeling really bad, and I wasn't honestly earning enough money from all of this because even now with this second process, not everybody's for this, but even now, not everybody was for this. But I was doing my best, but I became so tired of these heavy energies that are coming to sessions now, unaware people, and me throwing up before the session and after the session too, because the energy is too heavy for my vibration. So I have to get it out. My cat throwing up because there are people with a lot of issues, with a lot of, I mean, of course they need help with trauma, but a lot of entities and a lot of black magic that we were before in this previous school, they would tell me that this doesn't exist. Well, come to Serbia to see that it doesn't exist, especially those who were in the Ottoman Empire. And it does exist all over the world, and I just don't understand why you don't want to acknowledge it because it's blocking people. And the more you are tiptoeing around it and saying that it doesn't exist, you just send it to the light, the more it's going to be kicking you on your nose. So do you acknowledge its existence? I don't know, maybe through your work, with clients, maybe in your private life, maybe, I don't know. But I've seen it happen. I've seen it happen with me. I've seen it happen with colleagues. I've seen it happen with clients. This is how it goes. So yeah, I'm also doing spirit release course now. I didn't initially think that I'm going to be doing this because it was quite close uh to this, and I wasn't prepared financially for it because I wasn't planning it. And I thought, I mean, I'm already doing it. I found my way of dealing with this. But then I've had sessions with clients who didn't want to do between lives process, who wanted just what I was doing so far, which is fine. But I could barely handle the energy. It was so difficult for me. I'm undergoing my own changes too. So yeah, I decided that I better do the spirit release course because it's going to help me. And I was directly told through a client in a session that you have to do this because it's going to give you a structure that you need, and then within this structure, you can do whatever you want to do, so that the energy doesn't get dissipated. And this is basically how I function. I need to have a space where I can put in my things without being constantly reprimanded for that, and without, where my talents will be acknowledged and not squashed. Even when I was working for Initiatives of Change as a facilitator, I was constantly creating my own processes, my own courses, and my put my own stuff there, which they minded too, because they have a fixed course and they teach you a fixed course, and then you have to do it the way that you're taught. And I never wanted to do that because my energy. I mean, it's not something that I do on purpose. I just my energy wants to do it. My energy wants to express itself in this way, and I have to be allowed to do that, and not constantly being called um, difficult because of that. Because I have a lot to say, and after 10 years of doing this work, and and this is why I wrote this book. I saw a lot of things, and especially in the spirit world. I mean, by now I could teach my own course, but I never decided to do that because I don't think that I want to do this just because I decided to do that and I give them just my own certificate. I wanted to take it to another level, and I needed to have a school to back me up in this. So yes, maybe at some point, but I don't still feel this. I don't feel this call to teach just yet, and I don't want to push it only because I'm going to be earning more money like this. And trust me, it's especially lately, it's getting really harder and harder to get around to clients because people are not ready for something like this, and because it costs quite a big amount of money and people don't want to invest. So I've never had less money than ever in my life, and I'm investing a lot of this. I already invested a lot of this. And I mean, I've traveled before when nobody else around here was traveling, and I've never traveled less because I don't have enough money. I don't have enough money now for the things that I want to do for myself because I want to keep up my practice and I want to do this. And I invest all that I have in my practice. And yeah, and then I constantly have some people that want me to stop practicing. And there are other energies around here that mind this and other stuff that's been happening that I've already shared. But when I saw this happening within the very institute that taught me, that was supposed to support me in doing this, yeah, that hurt like hell. That I minded that. So this vanity stuff that is going on, I mean, I don't need that, really, seriously. I don't see that happening within the school now. Hey, I've just spent a little time there. Well, they're a small community. They're not so spread and renowned, but like I said, they're good. They're good. And there are other schools that are possibly as good, but I don't know about them. But why? How on earth can you put a trademark on a spirit world? Spirits, spirit world works with whomever they want to work. If they want to reach you and teach you something, they will. Nothing on this planet is going to stop them, especially not somebody's vanity. And they obviously wanted to work through me. And I've seen such miracles with my clients. And I know that I'm not doing it. They're doing it. Spirits are doing it. Spirit world wants to work through me. I didn't want to work with spirit world as a medium, and I didn't want to present myself as a shaman or as a healer or something because this is not what I'm doing. They're doing it. And this is the perfect method for me, precisely because of that. And precisely because of that, they want to work with me. Because I mean, yes, there are credits for me in this too, because I'm a good therapist, but I was never praised by anybody because of all of these abilities. Actually, I was just pushed aside. The better I was, the more I was pushed aside. This is how I felt. Maybe that's not the reality of how it is, but I didn't see anybody opening any doors for me because of this. On the contrary. And even though I talked to somebody whom I haven't been talking in 10 years, from the previous class that I was then in, and I mean, I felt as if they only wanted information from me about this new process and why I didn't finish there and go there and whatever, because I'm I haven't got a response from that person since yet. So I'm wondering. I'm just wondering about all of these things. So there are things that are just, I don't know. Just they left me with question marks. Anyways, uh, to finish this process, while I was in the course, and especially when I was doing sessions afterwards with this process, between lives process, I felt like a completely different grid. Like this grid that I didn't even know that there was a grid on me that was being dissolved, that was a bit heavy and not so healthy, and like a different, completely different energy coming through me. Yes, when I do spiritual regression sessions, as I did them so far, it's a completely different energy that you go to. But this is like, I don't know. I can't. I don't have the words to explain it because, but I'm so sensitive. So this is like completely. It's completely different energy. Like such healthy energy I haven't felt in a while. And besides all this, I've had other astral attacks and stuff like that that I don't know where they're coming from, and I've been working on this, and I don't want to be stopped from from doing what I need to do, from what my mission is. As a This is why I spoke about what I spoke about in the beginning of this monologue, because they also minded when I was speaking against vaccines, and when I'm speaking openly about some difficult things and about some difficult issues. You can't stop me and block me from speaking about this because it's part of my mission. When you do this, I'm gonna feel horrible, and I'm gonna react and abreact, and there'll be troubles, and we'll possibly go separate ways at certain point, as we did now. So yeah, I've been really sad about it, and I was thinking whether I was wasting my time, and what would it be like if I actually finished in 2017, if I actually had this certificate. And mind you, I was supposed to be finishing it sooner because it's 2 years. It's supposed to be waiting for 2 years. Well, not in 2017, 18 actually. So I was supposed to be finishing in 2017, but I got my certificate uh, when I actually paid it off, when I paid my installments, and this is where I got my certificate. So they counted the time from the moment that I got my certificate, which was a year later than when I was actually supposed to get it. So yeah, that's one of the other things that I'm like, now why are you treating me? I honestly thought it's gonna be too harsh a word, but this is how I felt inside. Like I'm being treated like a trash, like somebody who's just, I don't know, um just pushing for something, wanting to just stick around while I have all of these talents and abilities that you are actually not allowing me to show by pushing me aside in a corner because I don't have enough money to pay for it. And yeah, and I felt like all of my, even during the sessions, I don't use all my talents. I don't, I don't know how to use this in this process because I needed support in that. And I didn't even receive support in my shamanism trainings and initiations. But this is another story. So hopefully, I mean, I feel better about this process now because it's not like I still can use all of my talents that I use, but with having the spirit release course and being given the structure for that, because you basically use it when you're doing preparation session to clear certain energies, and but you can also use it separately. I'm gonna be having a module model for that, where I can actually create and put in my own stuff, which is actually what I needed. And I needed a place where I can actually express myself, because I really didn't feel, although I have a lot of friends there, that I could express myself. So I don't know, maybe it would have been different had I finished that when I was supposed to finish it, but it didn't happen that way, and it ended up leaving me um, feeling hurt and a little bit damaged because of that. So I was really angry. In my the way I see it, I was rightfully angry. I don't know, maybe they were angry with me with something, but nobody actually discussed it with me. So that's the reason why I changed schools, and I didn't speak about it before, because I was constantly having this thing going in behind my back from my colleagues, and I didn't want to speak about it because I thought I'm going to create more difficulties for myself. Um, and now it's not even about the certificate. It's not the certificate that I need. I needed community, and I thought I'm going to find community in my community institute, and I didn't find it. And yeah, well, that's fine. They have lot of people that are larger system, but I also don't work well with systems. So I still have, doesn't mean that I'm not seeing some. I mean, in fact, one of those friends actually wrote um, a, a foreword for this book, recension. So I still cooperate with them. I still share with them, but yeah, it's like from different. I mean, this perspective, I'm like something I constantly started feeling. I started feeling like nothing there. Like the struggling therapist who's trying to show herself and prove that I'm worth something, that I'm a good therapist, and I do see that for my clients. But yeah, who are you? I mean, constantly I'm being okay. New people don't know who I am. And there is another woman who recently got her certificate around here. I don't know who she is, and I, I have no problems with her. Um, I wish her all the best, and she's doing her thing. I'm doing my thing. But I started feeling like left behind. And who are you? Like, we don't know you. You've never been here, and all of them mostly. So that, I don't know. And anyways, with my process, I'm gonna share a little bit about my own session and about my client session. So did you actually see what kind of process that I'm doing now? This is and how it differs. I can't speak about the the benefits, different benefits of these two different processes, because I've just done a couple of sessions from between Levis process, and it takes a little bit of time to see what kind of benefits are there, but it's very powerful. It's a lot, and I already saw it in my own life with this recent disclosures and discoverings that have happened after my own session, and with sessions with other clients that I've done. So it's quite powerful. So if you want to actually find out the truth and have disclosures and have, you know, even though help with those difficult things that you couldn't reach so far, this is the process for you. Uh, and the stations that we're going into, some are same as the stations in life between us, but some are completely, to me, completely new and different. And but I don't take you there. I don't tell you go there and there. It just, whatever. And so far the crossing over is one part that I wasn't paying attention so far. and the crossing over kind of also completely opened up new realms for me, and new kind of new knowledge that is coming through there. And the rest is seemingly the same, but different things happen there. So it's like being they're completely on another plane, on another planet, with all experiencing this feeling, sensing, smelling, touching. Um, it's different in that respect. I mean, yes, I've had this before with clients too, but as we were spending less time there, and it was more like them giving me information and channeling. And we do ask questions that clients come with, but somehow as it is at the very end, I mean, I'm even considering dropping the questions that they come with completely, because it moves away the focus from whatever happens there. And this is the point, especially since most of my clients are star seeds and aliens, and non-human resonant souls. Within my clinical institute, this is called the hybrids, but they call it non-human resonant souls, and they have a complete entire section on this. They pay a lot of attention to that. We've been taught about this and how to handle these kind of sessions. That's what I needed, as me being one non-human resonant soul, and most of my clients that I ever worked with. And that was really helpful for me. That was really, really helpful. And it's not like I didn't know what to do with them. This is why they were coming to see me, because I knew exactly what to do with them. But this difference that they have three variations of these souls. Like one is elemental, one is aliens, and one is starseed, and they make distinctions between those souls and how they behave and react and what to expect. And that was really helpful for me, because I was seeing those differences, but I didn't know what they were, and I didn't know how to phrase them and to categorize them. So I'm kind of at ease now, because I was constantly wondering, was doing something wrong? Can I do something more for them? And I didn't even have anybody to discuss it with, because my colleagues that I'm in contact with have fewer of these souls, and even within my own sessions that they did with me, well, the approach was not to say that the process is good, the technique is good, a good therapist, but we need something different. We need acknowledgement of that uh, being from another plane. And this is not so much acknowledged, it's kind of in between the lines, or kind of a little bit hidden. So yeah, I also need a therapist, to work with a therapist who is on the higher level than me, has more energy than me. And so when you work as a therapist with clients who are less in energy than you, and that's fine. Although it can be frustrating after a while, as I already said. But if you're a client and you are coming to work with a therapist who has less energy than you and can't reach certain realms in the same way as you do, for a client, that's horrible. That's so frustrating, because they don't believe you. They don't believe what you're saying, or they're treating it as a program or a metaphor or something like that. These are not metaphors, because you have confirmation in your everyday life afterwards, those. And because, like in my own case, all my life I've had experiences that I needed explanation for. And even within my community institute, I didn't get that. And I was being hushed and pulled back. And actually, when I started going in a session where I wanted to go, I was being pulled back. And it just actually repeated the very first session, the first half of past life that I went in 10 years ago, through when I was being trained in past life regression therapy, actually appeared now in my session now as the very last life before this one. And I knew that from that session, but within that was blocking me so much, because it wasn't properly dealt with at that time because of the inexperience of a therapist. And it's not to say that it was anything wrong that was done. It's just wasn't enough. And yeah, I need a different kind of approach. So it's actually good for different kinds of clients that will come to see you to have different kinds of approaches. And this is giving me, I mean, I want to grow in this process, and I didn't know and I didn't see where to grow. And this gave me direction. And I have expanded with the other things that I've done for myself. Yeah, something snapped behind, which in a good way. Uh, this gave me wings, and it gave me, because I was already doing this, but just opened so the vastness of space for me that I never dreamt that it could. I don't know if this normally happens with other therapists, but like within one session, I would change with the client 3 or 4 different levels. I changed it in my own session, but it's like between lives, within between lives, within between lives, within between lives, and it didn't only happen with one client. So let's speak about my own session for a little bit, because I don't want to speak about the entire process of how you do between lives, like I already said. This is enough. So I'm going to be offering it separately. So the spiritual regression that I've done so far will stay the same, with possibly same or a little bit higher prices, because it's a different grid and we're dealing with different things, and we're mostly paying attention to emotional body. And this between lives process will be consisted of 2 or 3 sessions, like I just explained, depending on what kind of client is coming, what do they need. So it's going to be a high price. So far I've been charging 250 euros for 3 hours, or 300 for if it's more. But now for the process of 2 sessions, or from 3 and 4 hours, will be 500 or 550 euros, and for 3 sessions, and so 3 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours, it will be 650 or 700. I will see, because I need to adapt a little bit to the needs around here. And I'm honestly, the biggest challenge that I'm seeing right now is because with Serbian people, it's very hard to get them to come for one session, not to mention 2 or 3 separate sessions that I have to pay for this much amount of money. Uh, they don't want to come for as much sessions, even to give them for free for them. So, but I can't do this like with installments and doing it for free. Like I've done a lot of free sessions, and I've given away a lot of sessions, but it's really so exhausting for me. It really takes me a lot to recover after the session, and I can't do anything else. And this is what I live on. And people, you don't like when you're not being given salary for the job that you are doing. And this is my salary. that you're paying me for the session, so I don't like it either. I need to support myself to recover. I actually, in during the last session, I went a couple of days before to fix my tooth that got broken a couple of weeks or months before, and day before the session, or the very day before the session, it got chipped off. The same tooth got chipped off again because of the amount of energy that was going through me. So I really can't. It a lot happens to me so that I can support you properly throughout this process. So it requires a lot from me, and it has to be compensated in a certain amount, proper energy exchange. So we'll see how that goes. But anyways, my session. So we started with this past life that I already saw when I was a Native American woman during some massacre. Some I said genocide even then with in 2000. And now I know more. I discovered more and I learned more about Native American history. So I know more from where that was coming from, but I was surprised to see that same life again. And as I already spoke about it, that I need to give up with this. I identifying with Native Americans, and especially like I kind of discovered other things throughout this process. There's cannot I cannot stop identifying with something that's a part of me, but stop identifying with this pain. And that's what was being cleared actually, and that proclaims the pain of the entire nation that having pains that I took with me. But one strange bit happened that we were clearing this scene, but in preparation session of the genocide and the pain and all everything that happened afterwards with the all the atrocities that happened to this woman that like any other Native American went through in those times. But in the death scene, right before the between life session, I was dying as a man, a Native American man, who was um and I was breathing heavily. I was feeling sensations in my body of the man that was dying. And I went out of that body, but I said, yes, that man is dying. He was dead, but I'm not dead. I don't feel like it was just like this part of me was in this male body, but there is another part of me that is in female's body. I was that woman that I already saw before. I was like, I'm not dead. And like was I was in two bodies, male and female body at the same time. So I went then, and then this woman later, a little bit later, she died, and so she was kind of following this man who was her partner or somebody she was in love with. And I was like, maybe I made this up because I just read the book about the crazy horse, and but I was feeling it. I had sensations in my body and stuff like that. But as a woman, I didn't see again that I died. I just saw me taking one step into the teepee, and I was in another dimension when I took this step. I didn't see what I mean. Of course, I died because I'm in a different body now. But I insisted, and even then, during that very first session 10 years ago, I insisted that my body disappeared, that I didn't really die. I just went through a portal into another dimension, and it's like and I think that I even said, not in this session, but then that I even said that we're part of, like, there were a couple of adolescents in this tribe that were being taught and trained, and their process of initiations and training was being fast paced because the elders knew that this was going to happen, and that training was fast paced. And I was at that time I just finished my grandfather at that life finished an initiation with me when this genocide happened, and they all died, and I was crying because they all died, and I felt like I didn't die, and there was like a couple of us whose training was fast paced, and we were just sent through these portals. And of course, I'm in a different body, so something happened to this body. But I insisted that the body just disappeared, and I went through the portal. And I was still a woman in this another dimension. And when I went through a portal, I was in another dimension again, in a Native American village, in another teepee, and I kind of stayed there for a while because in the entire tribe is there, like everybody who dies, they go there and they spend some time there. I don't know enough about their ceremonies and stuff that they do, but it felt like they were holding the souls in this dimension, in this reality that I said it's in earthly plane, but it's in another dimension. Like they're alive there, but not alive in this physical body, but they look exactly the same. It's the same body, it's just a spirit body. It's just also dense, but it's not as dense as in the physical plane. But you're same person, same being there, and you're just spending time with your tribe there for a while. Whether they're holding bodies for certain amount of souls for certain amount of time before they release it to the spirit world, I don't know. But it was not like I don't know, for 40 days, or it would felt like years. So I don't know, having read this history about Native Americans now, and I'm knowing that they're holding the soul for about a year, and that they had at that time the ghost dance and stuff like that for those who died to come back. But I felt like that kind of keeps you stuck in a certain in between space. This is still in between space, but not upper plane. It's some kind of dense plane. It's not even an astral plane. It's just also in 3D plane, but in another dimension. So they don't communicate like that with each other, unless I don't know somebody comes as a spirit or communicates with you as a ghost, a spirit. And after that, spending some time there. I don't know why I was spending so much time there. That we didn't really clarify that. I went. I went on another plane where I was in a place where was mountains and a lake, and it was exactly like a place in Switzerland where because I like that place. I in Co. Uh, I really felt good there, and I said I'm there because that's been created for me as a hologram, and I'm just spending time there because I'm clearing from this previous life and from all the trauma of that past life. And it was a pink lake. It was not a normal lake like the lake that I know of, Geneva Lake, and all of the surroundings, the nature, and everything was absorbing uh, these experiences and the pain from and the trauma from that life. So I spent there a lot of time. I spent some quite amount of time there, and from there, I started being feeling this urgency inside of me to go. I need a doctor. I need a doctor. I need to see a doctor. I need a specialist. I need to see a specialist. And that was because of my in that plane. That was as much as I understood, that was an astral plane, and I had a different body. It was different, little bit different than that Native American body, but I still looked like a Native American woman. But I just had a blue uniform, and I had an injury, astral injury here. That body had an astral injury throughout here and here and wherever that I had problems with dislocated jaw and my nerves here. And then I had even an operation here for my tooth. And I saw this liquid silver stuff going around here. And I said, it was somehow destroying that astral body. That body is eternal and can't die, but it's somehow destroying it. It's like kryptonite for Superman. And this liquid stuff was doing something to this body. And basically this body was not disappearing, but it was being kind of destroyed. And this affecting my physical body. So whenever something happens to my astral body, there, that body, my physical body gets sick or something happens to my physical body, and I needed this spiritual operation fast. So it could be. So my therapist was talking a lot to me. She wanted me to explain a lot of things, and it was interesting for her. But I was like feeling the surgeon. She had these guides here. They were pushing me and pressing me to, hurry up and have this operation. Go and find a place where you can have an operation. So, to mention, like in this previous session, I had three guides. They were all Native American with the headpieces. One of them didn't have headpiece, but they were all kind of leaders or chiefs. One of them was like insisting on me calling him grandfather. Uh, but now they didn't appear. I was alone, and these other guy that I was seeing was like more a form of a light, and he was insisting like that I need to go like now, and I was on a ship. I said I was on a spaceship or a space station, and it was not my ship. It was ship that I just took sanctuary at, and they accepted me so that they can help me, because my ship got destroyed and got hijacked, like taken over, and all of the crew, and it's a fleet, not just a ship, but particularly that ship of the command ship got destroyed, and I'm the commander of the fleet, and I'm the second commander because there are two commanders. I'm a female and there's a male. I never there saw the male commander, but the entire other others of the fleet, they were either on other posts because the fleet got shattered when the ship was hijacked and attacked and hijacked, and most of the crew of the ship was died, either dead, but not in that plane. But their astral bodies are not connected to the physical bodies anymore because they either got hijacked or died physically. And that doesn't necessarily mean that I know those people and that I know who they are, because in physical reality, we don't know each other. We don't have to know each other. It's only on the astral plane that we are working together, and we are fleet. We're crew. So I just got there so that they can help me, and I said that's a comet. It's not a really. I mean, it's a ship, but we know it. And I said I'm on a comet, but that's not really a comet. It's a ship. But it looked like entire city. There it had structures. It had like life there, very busy. But I was not talking to anybody there. I just went to the medical space, and I had this operation there. I don't quite know because it was not so visual. So they were performing like a couple of them, 3 to 4 of them were doing some operation around here, and my jaw was twitching and something was happening, and even my therapist saw that. And I was when I finished that, I spent some amount of time there, but I didn't really do anything, and I didn't really communicate with anybody because I didn't know anybody there. I was just like an outsider there. So at some point, I had to go upper to go report. I said to report to my superiors. But then I said they're not actually superiors. We're all equal. They're just doing different tasks, and we all have different duties and different tasks. And I went through the porthole. I was going through some, like, because I didn't have my ship, I was going through the porthole, like being teleported, beamed up. And I said that's a technology, but I couldn't explain that technology. I even said to my therapist, I mean, I can't explain that in human, because it would take me some amount of time and energy to try to translate that into my brain and download it and then translate it to her. So I after that went to this upper plane, and I was there with two humanoid beings who were in white uniforms, and I was in a white uniform, looking exactly the same, only no normal blue uniform, white uniform. And there were some symbols that I don't remember there on the wall. I don't remember it. It was representing a federation, some federation, something. So it's like the Guardian Federation or something like that. And I was just reporting. There was no conversation or any wisdom share or anything. I was reporting. I'm basically under in an undercover mission, and my undercover mission. So this is why I can't be public and have some recognition that I started longing for, because I'm an undercover, and my undercover mission consists of going into different spiritual groups and to different leaders or people who have a lot of energy who are working with other people, whether it's teachers or healers or whatever, and observing what's going on there and seeing whether they're integrity or whether they are abusing it or they're corrupt in what way and what is happening there. And that doesn't necessarily happen uh, with my physical body. I do that physically too, but I also do it as a light body and another in dreams in another plane. So I'm reporting that, and I'm also reporting about certain power places and portals in on Earth and in the and in stargates. So whether what's happening with them, whether they need some upgrade, something dismantled, something cleared, something changed, something installed, or whatever. And when I do that, we as a group with more beings there decide what is to be done around that. So it's not my decision, it's a group decision. So, for instance, if it's a person or certain spiritual leader or something, what's the steps that are needed to happen, whether they are um, whether they stripped their powers or something is restricted or whatever, or some consequences that happen, uh, that's been decided there, and it's not up to me. It's just about I'm sort of a like in the police, and this is some kind of a space police. You would be in an internal control. Yeah. And this is what I do, and this is why I still have to do it incognito. And I decided for about, but at least for half of this year, what I'm saying, speaking about it now. So I'm gonna have to be doing it in this way for about this amount of time still. So then after that, I went again to a higher plane. Like I said, I'm going home now. I went to a higher plane through the porthole. And then I ended up on some temple, climbing stairs of a temple that looked like the huge Roman or antique temples, or in Greek, going through the huge pillars. But this is where I had a cape, a white robe with a hood, and I looked differently there. My skin was completely palish, whitish, and I had like this red nails, and um, but it's completely white, like not this white, just like white light. And my cape was white also, but my hair was brownish, like there were blue eyes. And as I was climbing, and I came to a place where I was at the fountain, and the fountain was violet, and I was drinking this water, and it was that would be refreshing me, replenishing me, and healing me, because that's like living water. I said living water, but in that plane, it's like the simple water, like the water that we drink here for us. That's the water there. And I was waiting for somebody, and as I was waiting, my cape was shifting colors, and it was happening very quickly, and it was shifting all the spectrum of all of the colors. It would shift all of the colors. And I understood that as if I was shifting dimensions. This is why I said that I'll probably have the ability to shift dimensions and densities very quickly. Until at one point it became violet. It became violet with gold and embroidery something, and the embroidery was like symbols and light language and stuff like that, like an unknown symbols. And I said that this represented creation, all of my creations, and it's like huge amount of creations throughout of the eternity, because I was very old, and I was really, but I didn't look old, and I was really old and wise being, and I was being called all the time wise, the wise one. And I was alone, and then two suns, like two fiery balls, came who looked like suns, and I was like standing there with them. We didn't really talk. It was just energy exchange. And I just said that I actually look like that too. The cape is giving me form because there is no form there. And I looked like that too, but I couldn't take this shape at the very moment of a session, because if I would take this shape, my body would suffer. It wouldn't be able to withhold the energy, the amount of energy, so it would create damage to my body. So I was holding on to this shape that was having more form, like humanoid shape. And it was like these energy balls, the sun balls, the fiery balls, they can be whatever they want to be because they shape shift, sort of. But in this raw form, they're like the sun in the sky, very bright and very warm and hot. It was like li- liquid hot, like lava or something like that, but it's not because it's not matter. So it I wouldn't be able to stand. My physical body wouldn't be able to withhold this electricity that will be coming from it. And then I went uh, to a place where I work, and I went higher again, and I went into a room with a pod, and I sat in a pod, and it's not only a pod, it's a pod on one level, but with a computer, like a computer room, on another level, it's again like a beam, a porthole, not a beam, but a porthole. And I was working through this portal, and as if being inside of the holographic computer, and I was shifting and moving stuff like screens, like scenes and I'm like, this is how bring in change, but I do it there in that level. So it's not like only bringing change into my life, but generally I remove scenes and put in scenes, and I remove it and I put in. And yeah, this is what I actually do. This is uh, my task there, and this meant that I'm here as a change instigator. I bring in change, and I do it only with my appearance and with my energy. Whether that, I mean, I don't really need to do sessions, it's just enough to be here. But I do it because I do it in different ways, whether that's just a conversation with me, or just a meeting, or just an accidental encounter, or just a session, or something else. It's just that's what I do. I instigate change, and I instigate that change on an upper plane, but then I stabilize it here through this porthole and through my body. Like my physical body is a stabilizer of it here. And you know, I just said that we kind of started this change, and there were others like me doing the same thing. They're doing their own thing in their own way, and we don't communicate between each other. We could, but we don't have to. Like, we're all doing our thing. And we started this change that is happening now a while back, while ago, but it took a lot of time for it to come down to the physical reality, because it's such a dense energy around here. Not only because there are not enough souls who are awake or aware of that, it's just because it's a very dense energy, and it takes a lot of time for the change to stabilize. And there were not enough stabilizers around, because they they would have a lot very difficult lives. And it's basically when you come, you sort of as a like you're a programmer on that level, and then you go into the computer game, and then you go into the computer game and you change it with your very existence. So at one point, say, this is my mission Earth. This is mission Earth, and I'm on a mission. And this is mission Earth. This is my job. My life here is actually my job. My real life is out there, and I'm actually more active there than I'm here in my physical reality. And I only have this life because I'm doing this work on an astral plane on a ship. But my real self and my real life is there. I'm from Andromeda. This is Andromeda, and I'm from Andromeda. This is like an office there where all of the agreements and changes and all the like ascended masters, beings, what we would call ascended masters, but it's not. We give them shape and meaning and name. They're different, called differently. They're different stuff. So, and there was my guide was there. I only had this encounter with my guide, who's like more my guide, but my other co- counterpart, male counterpart, and this is my primary guide. And yeah, um, was there anything else important from that there? Yeah, it was. I didn't quite understand why it was changing shapes that much. I looked like a black-haired woman on an astral plane, but then on another plane, I looked like brownish hair but blue eyes. Like, so I there are a lot of other things to be discovered, but this is basically what was the session about. And the most important part was that operation. And you see, it opened up different things as soon. I mean, as soon as I couldn't discover all of the things that later came up to the surface for so long, while I was constantly being focused on all of the things that I like, or why I didn't complete the certification within the Newton Institute and other things that didn't happen for me. While I was constantly focused on that, when I changed schools, when I finished that, it opened up some other things and discoveries of why I actually. So yeah, something happened throughout this session. That's my point. And I mean, I just said, there's some. it- The therapist asked me, "How are you benefiting from the life on Earth?" Because it's a difficult life, and why all these difficulties that I had throughout. I just said it's because of the ancestry that I came into, and I didn't really clarify any of that. And I had some karmic implications that I needed to clear yet, but it's only because it's my mission. It's Mission Earth. And I didn't say whether I volunteer or not, but I said, how you're benefiting. I'm like, I'm not benefiting. I didn't need this life. It's like Earth benefits from me, which sounded like, wow, it's so arrogant to say something like this. But I'm not from Earth. And I was like, I wanted to know why I'm not feeling safe here and I don't feel Earth as home. But this is exactly when I was being told I'll never feel Earth like home. It's not like yeah, I don't know whether I'll feel safe ever around here because um, human beings don't really feel like my group, like energy that I normally communicate with and mingle with, and I feel it as I don't know, kids. Like I'm dealing with a bunch of kids. I'm not a kid on that plane, and I'm not from Earth, and I'll never feel Earth as home, and I'll never feel Earth like a mother because of that, because I feel it as um, a being whose spirit has similar spirit vibration as mine on that plane, and as a sister. I don't know how to explain this, but it has a consciousness, and that consciousness I feel as the same age as my own. Well, different. I'm not saying that this is my consciousness. It just that's how I feel it. So all these other creations on earth are creations. I've been calling them creations, and difficult kids, difficult children. So yeah, that's how I'm speaking through in my sessions. I felt like, oh God, it's still so arrogant to say, but that's what came out. So yeah, I came here to do something, to instigate some change, and yeah, to do some work because this is where I work. It feels kind of sad to say this because you only have a body because you do some work on astral plane, and we're gatekeeping. I'm a gatekeeper. We're gatekeeping Stargate there. And yeah, that Stargate has been defended, and I said that some things have been done. We already did it, but it takes time for it to come down to the physical plane, and it's going to start to be felt more from March onwards. And there are some things that still have to, it's going to be turbulent until March, and then it's going to start to settle down. But for some, for others, it might feel even worse than before. It just depends on where you are at your journey and how much have you done already. So, I mean, what that means for myself, I don't know, but I'm hoping it's going to be a little bit easier. And this will also explain some of the things that have been happening since 2018 and up until now, because of all of the astral attacks and other things were because we were basically defending Earth and stargates. It's not only stargates around Earth, that's what I said. They are on Earth, but they are on other planes also, because it's not only Earth that is ascending, the entire Milky Way is ascending, the entire galaxy is ascending, and there are other galaxies, and I'm basically from a different galaxy entirely. So we're here to help this process. So I couldn't just connect it only to Earth, and my work is not only connected to Earth, but is connected to the stargates. And some of those stargates are connected to the Earth. So we were not only defending the Stargate and portal on Earth or Earth, we were defending a Stargate that's going in to that other galaxy, because we didn't want certain things to come through there, and they wanted to. And I don't really know who's that and what that is, but I'm obviously waging wars there. So, yeah, that's from while all of the other experiences. And I also said um, that whatever I bring change there, whatever happens to the astral body there, it's not only that this physical body feels it, but it changes all of the timelines that are earthly connected and Milky Way connected. So, if something happens to that astral body like that, ship being overtaken, that would change my entire script on in all of the realities, in past life and in future life and parallel lives. I would feel it anywhere. It's not only for me, that happens for everybody, but especially for beings like me who are having these other realm experiences. So, and also when you go and change something there, like doing in this session, that affects past and future and present too, not only present. How? I can't explain, so, but that's what I said. So yeah, this work is really, really powerful, as I already saw. So this is my session, and it's all about these changes that are actually taking place now. They were supposed to be taking place sooner, but because of all this stuff, and because of the way that those beings know how this function, and they know where to go in and attack and create diversions, some things have been postponed. Maybe not for everybody, but this is what is my experience of the earth and life on some of the planes that are earth connected and this galaxy connected, because it's through some technology that happens. Yeah, through these holographic computers on the plane. And they don't, not there, not in this. I said this was a 15 dimension, where I'm in the pod and changing all this in a holographic room, uh, but an astral plane. They do it there. So it kind of gets disconnected. The frequency gets jammed with the control room on 15 dimensional plane with the Andromeda. We're bringing in change, so it gets jammed. So it doesn't go past the astral plane, which would that will be the fourth density, fourth mm, not only for dimension but for density too. So this is where they're jamming and doing all these things, and the spiritual war that everybody's talking about, that's where it happens there. But it's not actually, also it's not my home either, it's also a place of work. And I've had other clients before, who were coming and speak telling me about this too. So this is where they're jamming the change from happening. So when the disconnect happens there, how to reconnect it, but it kind of stalls the process and takes you back, so that you have to fix things. And yeah, this is the technicians that do other things. I don't know how that happens because it's not my line of duty, but other beings do this. So there's a lot of beings who are doing a lot of things for all these changes to happen. But again, these changes are happening in within the universe, not only. And as for other sessions, oh God, there were so many interesting things that happened throughout the session. It's like my uh, first session, I had a client that when she was going coming from a life where she was being lifted with her group through their eyes, and they were lifting her, and she was going upwards on the cloud, and then she went through the doors, the gate on the cloud, and with her guide who looked like Greek god. um but and then they went through a place in behind that cloud, where they were all other guides who were dressed like him in togas, and they were having a celebration, a banquet. And but then she went up through the stairs, and through the going up through the stairs, she told me to the very detail how those people who built the stairs were actually doing their penalty because of the things, because they each killed somebody and something. And then we went through the cave, and then she was in a cave where uh, she said it's actually not a stone, but it's a sky, but it looks like a cave and like a stone. And she's in this she called it a womb canal, like a womb of Divine Mother. And she said it's it's oh, you don't stay there, you just go through that. And then she went on the other side. She was waiting with her guide and with other people, souls with their guides. They were waiting for a dawn to go on another planet that they would see in the distance as a moon. And she was going there. It took a long time and with a lot of details. And she came to another gate that was stone gate, and they were going through the gate because they were still on the cloud, but they couldn't go past it. They have to go through it because there was a scanner that will scan them, and as it scans them, it will give them a depth. It will give them matter, and they will be in a different body. So then the air was counting who's coming and why, and because the planet is small and it can only take a certain amount of souls. She gave me the exact number of souls. She said it was fifth galaxy from the sun, and it was a planet called Quattro with four mountains and a lot of crystals, and it was with four seasons, but it had the summer and snow because there was a smaller planet there. Because this planet had a lot of crystals, and it would heat up, and it had a lot of like a nuclear power, but this smaller planet was cooling it down so that it doesn't explode. So where the place was closer to the smaller planet, it was colder. I actually found that I found a similar planet to this, and it had four mountains, and it was all about the crystals. She was going to study there because it's a place of study. It's not where she lives, but she's studying there. She's learning about crystals, and she was actually just understanding what she really wants to do there. And she was learning about cooking a soup, a pumpkin soup with crystals, that she had to learn the exact dosage, because this pumpkin soup would give you If you are low on energy, when you drink this pumpkin soup, it gives you energy back. And she was drinking this pumpkin soup. It is a green soup with different herbs and different crystals, uh, with different dosages, which she doesn't deal with that. It's not her thing. But this soup, if somebody has a lot of energy, when they drink this soup, it would cool their energy down so that they don't explode from big amount of energy. and then and then she was exploring there and discovering and going around, and they were digging crystals. And she had the previous sessions where she was going when they were digging crystals and doing stuff with crystals, a ruler there who went a little bit crazy, but that's another story. And they were digging crystals, and they were shipping these crystals to Earth, uh, and another, not only on Earth but throughout universe, but on Earth too. And there was a communication portals, but this is not her job. She's cooking soup, but she could go to communication rooms with other alien beings. These alien beings would be white, completely white in skin, like bright, bright light white, with dark eyes, uh, black eyes, and they looked like that because where they are from, there's not enough sun, so they don't have enough. They are not exposed to sun, and so why they look like that. And they would be communication officers that would send you in a pod, and they send you to different places, and they also send crystals through these communication pods. And yeah, and she also came to her life like that. And then she would call her guy when she snaps fingers, and when she snaps fingers, that creates a sound, and the sound was like jingle bells. It sounded like bells when she snaps fingers, and all of them have different sounds and different qualities. And the planet has a well velvety quality. She would touch everything would be like velvet. And she was going on Earth through a pod when when her father snapped his fingers. This is how she knew she had to come to Earth and be born into her body. And she said she came to this place and this because of the crystals, because there are a lot of crystals on the ground of Serbia. She came here, and some of the crystals are connected to some of the people, but those crystals they will never be discovered and found. But it's about crystals, all about crystals. And she was learning how to direct energy with her thought only, and this is what she was practicing here. So this is why she came to Earth to practice this. And throughout all her other sessions, I could see how she was being taught to direct energy in different ways until she came to the point of directing energy with her thought. And I'm just cutting it short, but it was a lengthy session and a lot, maybe lasted for 5 hours. And a lot happened. It was really interesting, but it was really energy wise, it was really exhausting. And then another session, which was with my brother, and was well, he was in a regular place where we regularly go because he's never. I've done many sessions with him, but he was never in Life Between Lives. He was never on the spirit plane before, only talking to his guide, and not necessarily during the sessions. No, guide doesn't always appear. So for him, he didn't have a guide. He was just he drowned and then he went up, uh, and he was in the cloud. A guy appeared when he was in the cloud, but the cloud was absorbing everything, and it was moving from cloud to cloud, from cloud to cloud, and discussing next life with his current parents, and then at some point, I don't know how, I don't remember now how that happened. He went up into the space. Well, before that, he was going to practice, to prepare for this life that he's coming into, because it was a difficult life, because he was coming, he has cerebral palsy now, he's an invalid, and he needed a lot of energy, a lot of preparation. So he had a preparation for this life. So he met a mermaid, and mermaid gave him a rod, and he was holding that rod in his hand, and it was while he was holding that rod, he was gaining strength. and then uh, he gave it back to her, and then he was going through uh, he lied on a hole in the ground, and he started crying because when I asked why, it was because of the difficulties of this life that he was to come into. And then the cloud came, and it started raining, and it was raining on him. That would give him strength too. And then he went up and in a universe, and he was floating in a universe, and he said he was astronaut. He was in an astronaut suit, but he said that there was a USA emblem on his arm, and he said it's because he works on a project for US government. At least at that time, that moment he worked, and then he saw many monitors, many computers there. And he was observing stars through these monitors, and then he was reporting to general about all this, who was in the same uniform, and then he had a colleague who looked differently in a tuxedo, and they were talking about coffee and drinking coffee. And then there was another who looked like a frog, and who was a spy, because it was a Russian spy, because Russians want this project for themselves. And then later on, I discovered that they were like they, it's a race in the universe who's going to be digging helium on moon, and the Russians are about to create a base there. So there's something there. And then later on, he said he landed on the moon, and all of this that he was saying, it was happening on the moon. So, and I found proofs for that. And then, well, which I understood everything he was talking about is about secret space program and super soldiers. And I knew from before, from my research, that I was a super soldier and I was in secret space program. So this is how I discovered other things that I'm going to be talking about. And after that, he also went being again in the space floating, but he became like a huge green being, like a Hulk. That meant he has a lot of strength, and he's not a very old soul. He's a young soul, and he kind of took a lot on himself uh, on this life, because he came because of the ancestry to stop, some pattern in ancestry. And he's a healer. He's actually with his life healing his ancestors while he's living, and changing himself, and learning how to be a disabled person. He is helping his ancestors, and he's learning how to be a healer. And he kind of took a lot of energy with him, and there's only a small amount of energy left there, and that energy is floating in the space, as eventually he became a nebula space, not doing anything much. So then it was all about strength, learning mental stability and mental strength, and energetical strength, because he said this, he's drawing energy to himself from there, and this is sustaining him. And now the third session that I had is with a young woman. Oh God, but that was it was challenging energy wise, because she also took a huge amount of energy with her, but she doesn't know how to carry her energy. So this is the topic, and I was seeing, because I know her, and from the previous session that I worked with her, this is like her topic, because she she was like all over the place. She was like a flipper. You know the game of flipper, and this ball when you that you hit in the flipper. Well, she was going all over the place. She started from going up and floating in space, in the vastness of space, then going into the hall, marble hall, white marble, where the banquet is. And then she was waiting with other souls for something. They were in front of a screen, and the scenes were moving fast in the screen. And then she was to go into her scene, and her fingers would start to glow when she was to go into the scene. And when she goes into the screen, into the scene, uh, it took me some amount of time to understand what was going on, because she was trying on different lives like this. And because she was actually designing bodies with others, and while designing bodies, designing lives for others, including herself. But in this way, she would test a design as if going into into the video game, being in 3D reality, but not only with with glasses, but she would cast consciousness there. She was within the screen. She would experience it, and then she was experiencing a life of a boy because she wanted to, I don't know, to be conscious, but also have a physical body because she's bored. And then she would try this and that on, and then she gets bored and she wants to try something else because she wants experiences and more experiences and more experiences. And then we were, I don't know, she was bored of designing and planning, and she went on on moon near Jupiter. And there she was in a cave, and in the cave she was growing crystals, and she was um, those crystals would be shipped to Earth, because this was a post for Earth specifically, and these crystals would be coded with some information of upgrading light and matter, and they were bringing in change like that. But then she was on a ship, and they were shipping crystals to Earth. They would drop them in certain places, but these crystals would drip, like they would melt, and then they would drip, and they would bring more light with information to whether that's in earth in certain places, or in plants, or in humans, in certain humans. And that would then further enhance evolution like that. And certain humans, like and including herself, she had a crystal in between her eyes, and this was for navigation, like the direction. And certain animals had it, that she tested a design of a tiger who had this crystal, and this in time during the evolution, other offsprings of this tiger would eventually not have crystal. She went to test uh, the design in Egypt, but she was in a man, and she would cast her consciousness. This is why, because she was not reporting everything to me, a lot more happened there that she didn't report to me. Only after the session, she said some things. And at that time, I couldn't really understand what was going on with her. Where is she? But she was not telling me everything, and it took her quite a while to form a sentence. And when she did, it was like she sounded so complicated. It was so complicated. I couldn't catch a thread of her thoughts and what exactly she wanted to say. Like in her mind, she thinks she just told me, yeah, you just go on and plug off a computer or a thing, but she didn't say it like that. She would go on and on and on and on and on about it. It sounded so complicated, and I constantly was trying to simplify, to make her simplify things, but it didn't really work, because her mind was working on a different frequency, and what she actually wanted to say, she couldn't express it like that. And she had a feeling all the time that I could see all of this, so she didn't really need to explain it, so, which I couldn't. And yeah, and she would cast consciousness in the Egypt, and she was testing pyramids, because crystals are in pyramids, and this is technology, and people think it actually works differently, and then they go and gather around there to activate crystals, but it's the other way around. The crystal activates them, and it's a technology, and they don't really understand how it works. And I don't even know what everything that she said there because I couldn't follow everything. And then she went from there. She then went again on a ship, and then on Venus, because previously she worked with a pink team on Venus, because crystals there are different, and they're more liquid, and they are fused with emotions and different kind of informations. And this was like colder, and was white golden light, and more intellectual. And it was like she also sounded very intellectual, and also sounded very like AI. And Yeah, she later told me that when she discussed with her colleague something, he was showing her stuff on a, a tablet, which she didn't tell me at the time. So yeah, it was all about sensations with her, learning about sensations and experiences on Earth, and how it is to be aware of these upper planes and also have a physical experience, physical body. But she was not quite doing it well because she was not fully present in her body. She's constantly running away, doing other things because she gets bored. And this is how she actually functions in her life. She's like, she has, like, she's in a place there from where all potentials are. She can do anything and be anything. And from all of these experiences, I want to do that, I want to do this, like, let's go there, let's go there, let's go there. On a physical place, she actually, with all the potential that she can be and she can do, with all potential that she has, she doesn't do much because she doesn't know what she actually wants. And even at some point, she asked me, "What should I do next? What do I do next? Where do I go?" Because she needed me to be more directive, and she needed more direction, like, and she never had a guide around her, because she had to learn how the crystal navigates and how the crystal is guiding her. And this is how she also instigates change by, oh, I don't know, when the energy and light through her just spills out, just by meeting other people and stuff like that. But she's like, mainly, like she said, like she's the architect, but what she described was not an architect. It's more, it's not a grid work. It's more like she's planning lives and creations, creating bodies like creations, and then she's basically in a team that is testing these designs by casting consciousness in it. And yeah, this is what the part of her that she left there is doing, and majority, the bigger amount of energy here is with her because she took a whole lot of energy to be able to instigate change, but she's not actually downloading it properly and handling it properly because she has challenges being in a body because of the physical sensations, because it's too much for her. There was even, she had even during the session she had difficulties with all the she didn't have much sensations, but my cat came in one moment and just put a paw and just wanted to check on her by the end of the session, which she sometimes does when I have clients in my space here, but she never interrupts anything. So but she felt her, she, it didn't awaken her, but it was too much. That, even that was too much of a sensation for her, so she kind of cringed and yeah, and some other things that she was mentioning, but I don't remember it because when we were asking questions, she would start to be all, she, she would explain it like you know, like having, my feeling all the time was like, you know, when you have a computer and the computer is downloading and it has a jam and then it's just working and working, going, and the circle is going, and you're waiting and you're waiting, and the computer is downloading it and it's going and it's down, and it never ends, and I'm like, I just couldn't catch the thread of her. What the heck was the meaning? I mean, just give me like simple answer to something so that I can hand, and I tried to get the you know, concrete answer to some of her questions that she had, but she was like doing this and stalling and avoiding it. And the only thing that was like was given was the advice of how to come back to her body and pay attention and listen to her body and respect to what are the needs of her body, which she's not doing. And yeah, which is good that people get stuff like that, and because some people don't want enough feedback and want you to tell them that, because there were many times through our previous sessions and meetings and group work that she did with me that I wanted to tell her this, but she just wouldn't allow it. And yeah, and it energetically that session was really challenging for me because she wasn't processing her energy properly. It was mostly going through me, which I felt, and it was too much for me. By the end of the session, it was already, you know, weighing on me heavily, on my body. So I just hugged off a little bit. I was really exhausted after that session for that reason, because I couldn't, it was like, won't you already start carrying your energy? So, which is not, I mean, I'm not supposed to do that as a therapist, but if you want to have a successful session, I just have to, most of the things go through me, and they get cleared through me. So, yeah. And was there anything interesting about this session? It was just because it was really hard to follow her. She was like all like a quicksilver there on that plane. Like she's very slow in the physical reality here, because it's too dense. It feels too dense for her. She even said throughout the session that she didn't expect it to be that it's going to be like this. So I kind of understand she was in a pillar of light in some moment where she said it was God, and God was, she was supposed to be, she had to ask permission from God to experience something like this, because it's not normally done. So I don't know whether that's God or her guide that she perceived like that, but that's what she said. And this is what tells me that she's actually a young soul, and she doesn't have too much experiences on earth, or maybe in, like well, she has them on other planes, but maybe not too many. So she took on too much energy for what her body can handle. She was explaining to detail how you have to choose a proper body for yourself, because this body has to reflect your energy frequency and has to be perfect match for it, because it's going to be very difficult for you in the matter if your body is not handling well your frequency, and it's not a match for your frequency and for the experiences that you are undertaking. And this is like what they as her team, the planning team, are paying a lot of attention to, and they're basically advising to choose a body like this. So they also test design in different ways, and one of her ways was coming being born. So she didn't actually say, I didn't ask, I forgot to ask what how many lives on earth she actually had. And she was speaking about some lives, several lives, three, at least she mentioned three. That I know a man who was a monk in Islamic country, and some of the lives, but they were just, I don't know, a lot of knowledge, but from what she sounded like, they were a little bit boring. And the other one that she mentioned, like in the previous couple of years ago session, was a traumatic female life. So I don't know whether she just is avoiding, dodging these difficult experiences and dealing with them, and want to go and work on these traumas, or whether she actually didn't have enough life and experiences on Earth. We didn't get that answer. Yeah, but this was her experience. Somebody, and I shared mine, and somebody's experience would be completely different. It doesn't mean you would end up on another planet. I don't know. But this is what I've had as sessions from doing between lives, spiritual regression so far. And for me, this is amazing. It's kind of different from what I'm used to by now. Well, it's not different, but it's broader. It gives me more details about what happens there, and about where client go, what they actually do there. It's a lot more detail, and yeah, you spend a lot more time there than in life between lives, at least in the way that I did it so far. So it's a lot more like you're not looking at it on a screen. You're not looking at it. You're not receiving information from your guide or the elders, and but you are actually experiencing it there, and giving me a lot more details about the plane that you are in and what goes on there. So I've been meeting a whole lot of aliens lately. Yeah, there are different kinds though. So these ones are the nice ones. And yeah, if you're interested in doing this kind of session, I do them in English and I do them online. I do have a few clients who are English speaking followers, and it doesn't really matter if you've done a session with me already. Like I said, this is a little bit different process. And how will that affect your life? It's going to be different for everybody, and I can't really say at the very this moment because I haven't had feedback from my clients and for myself. I've seen what opened up, especially after my brother's session. It really opened up some of the pockets, some of the things and secrets that we didn't know that we are able to finally deal with, especially me. And yeah, it does. It brings change, but it's more directed to you having healthier energy, clearer energy, and ending up in this ascension process on a different level, actually on a different frequency bandwidth that you are actually always supposed to be with, but with all this density around here and everything that is going on and everybody else being purified and cleared and dealing with their stuff that some of us do pick up and feel and other things that we get entangled with you might not. So this is and for especially for the non-human resonant souls, that will give them a feeling of home and where what are they actually doing there and what happens there. So basically in these sessions I don't act like a therapist. I would do therapy in a preparation session and in the session like spiritual regression that I did so far, because we look for a cause of something. And this is it also somehow becomes the topic of these uh, spiritual dimensions that we are there in. But here I'm just following you. I'm not acting in a preparation session or in a between life session regression. I'm not acting as a therapist. I'm more um, like a tour guide, and I'm just navigating to see where you are so that you can um, end up where you need to end up and don't get lost, and later on discuss it with you to give you an integration. And we're now doing the integration within the session booklet and so forth. And yeah, it is powerful, but it's powerful and energetical. And I'll be speaking about it in the future more, but on a different platform, in a different way. And like I said, I don't feel it's YouTube started draining me, and it's taking me too much time. And yeah, it doesn't feel like it used to feel before. So I've been talking for a long time now, and it's a long process. I know it, and I hope somebody actually comes to the end of this and listens to it, because I said a lot. I could have cut this into different. I'm really tired now because it's like a early morning here. Um, I could cut this into different sections, uh, but I didn't want to do that because it's taking my focus from other things that I'm doing in my life at the moment and from actually doing sessions and stuff. So at one point, it became like more about presenting and bringing this kind of work closer to people. So I used YouTube for that, but that's not the point. The point is in doing sessions. So it started. It's putting me off. That's the point. So I'll be sharing it in a different ways, whether that I'm going to be creating little smaller videos to just explain a little bit further about between lives process or in a different way. But this is how I'm expanding my practice. So thank you for your patience and hope to see you in the session if you're interested right in